Let's take a look at your markets picture now, kicking things off with the JSE. Local markets starting the new month mostly in the green, with miners still leading the gains on the back of precious metals trading higher. And with that, we are seeing the resources 10 complex up 1.8%, followed by a gain in the industrial 25, just up over 0.5%. Trading in the red, however, is the financial 15, pretty flat, losing 0.06%. Taking all of that into account, we see the all share up over 0.6%. Let's move over to what's playing out in the US. Things different on Wall Street, that is, with stocks in the red. Now, that late November rebound hitting a speed bump. Economic data, however, still in focus ahead of next week's Fed meeting. With that, we are seeing the Dow Jones taking the biggest hit there, down close to 0.6%, followed by a 0.57% loss in the Nasdaq, the tech-heavy Nasdaq that is, and then the S&P 500 losing close to 0.5%. Over in Europe now, stocks also starting the last trading month of the year in negative territory. Defense stocks taking a knock as investors kept a close eye on progress toward a peace deal for Ukraine this week. And with that, we are seeing, of course, the German DAX under the most pressure, losing close to 1%, followed by a 0.25% lost out of the French CAC 40. The FTSE, in the meantime, just making it into the green, up 0.04%. Now let's take a look at what's playing out on the currency front, starting things off with the rand. The local unit holding on to gains boosted by higher gold prices and increased Fed rate cut bets. This, of course, amid sour local PMI figures. And with that, we are still seeing the dollar to the rand stronger at 17.08. But when looking at the rand at other global currency pairs, it is weaker against the pound at 22.63 and against the euro at 19.88. Taking a look at your other currency pairs now. The euro to the dollar weaker at 1.16. The pound to the dollar at 1.32. Trading stronger, however, is that dollar yen pair just above 155. We're now joined by Ntaoleng from Sasfin Wealth. Ntsiga, thanks so much for your time today. Now, what caught my eye in particular was Newton's share price, which jumped around 6% after it released its results and announcing the completion of those restructuring efforts. Yet the stock is still down, about 60% year to date. But off of today's performance, does this reaction suggest that markets are satisfied with where Newton is at, formerly known as Transaction Capital?
Good afternoon, Ntaoleng, and thank you so much for having me on. No, certainly, I think following the restructure of Transaction Capital, and this is namely the spin-off of that SA taxi business, as well as the spin-off of the We Buy Cars business, or the successful listing of that business. I think what we're left with is somewhat of a shell of the business that used to exist. At the moment, Newton basically operates in two main operating segments, Newton South Africa and Newton International. And both of these businesses basically focus on business processing outsourcing, mainly on debt collection and recovery specialists. So these were the debt specialist business that used to recover from SA Taxi whenever debts went bad and recover the vehicles and all the rest. And so in terms of actual results, the group came in with somewhat a solid set of results. I mean, the SA business, which makes up about 2/3 of the portfolio, came in at a loss of 6% for the period. But the international business, which makes up 1/3 of the portfolio, is actually up about 2%. And so net, I think the business all in made a loss of around 45 million rand, with all things considered. And I think the big marker for the market is really that this marks the completion of this 2-year restructuring program that you spoke about, and really a simplification of the group and its operating silos. So I think as investors, we really look forward to seeing what the new CEO, who the new CEO will be, and how Jonathan Jano will actually affect the group now that he's coming in as this chairman.
All right, let's hit pause on the conversation. That was, of course, Ntaoleng from Sasfin Wealth. He brings us a full assessment of the day that was in trade at 6 p.m.